Hey, what's up guys? I wanted to bring you another episode of Substitute Teacher Talk. And in this episode, as you probably have guessed, I'm going to be talking about the daily routine of my day. And for this one, it's going to be what really happens for a day when you go to a elementary work site. And that's when it's going to be going over here. I may do eventually in the future middle school video, what you have daily routine at middle school as well as a high school. Currently not a substitute teacher at any high schools, but I will be coming up in the future, so we'll do both those as well. I'm just going to dive right into this. What I did was I just typed up all these down, basically the order of the day, what goes on. I'll just give a couple of comments maybe as I go along, and I'll give you kind of like an insight if you want to be a substitute teacher, if you're thinking about doing that, or just you want to compare your day, see how my day is compared to your day when you go to schools that you work at and how that goes. So number one, you've already got the job summit and the number, and you want to show up to the job site around 50-20 minutes before your job begins. And that's really the real reason for me to do that is because number one, I kind of have a little bit older car in case I have to have any kind of car issues, and then have to factor in time for that. I'll still kind of show up on time, as well as getting to the school and dealing with the traffic and parking situation. It kind of guarantees you a little bit, a few minutes leeway in case you have any issues such as that. First thing first, you're going to check them at the office and get the keys to the classroom. They'll probably have you sign in, something like a timesheet, or some of the schools they do it with a computer. So you do that. They'll tell you where to go, as well as you'll get the attendance paper, and then you'll head off to the classroom. You'll go to the room, and typically what I do, one of the first things I do is I write my name on the board and rules, kind of first thing first, and then I'll find the lesson plans. So you'll typically have about 15 minutes from the time that the job begins until the time when you meet the students. And so what you do then, basically you go over lesson plans, make sure you know everything's going on, basically find out everything that you need. Because there are a lot of times when I don't say a lot, I would say some instances when you go to the place and you read all the lesson plans, and one thing you come across that you're supposed to be doing, you can't find it. There may be papers printed out and the teacher actually took them, or maybe a book and it's in another classroom, and so you may have to end up using this time to go track stuff down, or just talk to a nearby teacher or the principal to find out what you can do for that time period if you can't really do it, obviously if it's not there. There may be other chores as well that you can be doing in that time frame, such as if it's kindergarten to first grade, you need to sharpen pencils. A lot of times you may have a book bag rack. You'll push that out, and the kids will come to the classroom, and then they'll hang up their book bag or jacket, and then they'll go back to a central place on the school location, and they'll all line up like that. That's how that would be. Once it's time for you to meet the kids, typically you'll go to a certain place and you'll pick them up there, they'll be lined up and you walk them to the classroom. Other times, fewer instances, it's where they'll line up outside the classroom. That's not as frequent as other places. And then you'll just open the door, meet them and greet them, and then they'll come and get settled. Then once everybody's kind of settled, after about 5 minutes or so, then you'll introduce yourself, you'll take attendance. Then you'll kind of dive right in. Lessons for the day, typically 30, 45 minutes to an hour or so for each lesson. A lot of lessons are literature, math, social studies, writing, science, could be something else possibly. And some of the activities you may be doing are PE, arts, and then a computer lab, as well as other things. You may go on a field trip. I've gone to 2 different places. I've actually made videos about those you can check back through. I went to SeaWorld San Diego, as well as what's now called the Chula Vista Nature Center, I believe. They changed the name as Chula Vista Discovery Center or Nature Center, one of those. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. I mean, the cost to get into SeaWorld is like $50 or $60. I didn't pay anything to do that, so that's kind of fun. And when I went back in 2012, I hadn't been in, it was more than 20 years since I had been. So that was pretty awesome to be able to do that and just to get in free. Morning recess times, like morning recess and snack break. typically 15 to 20 minutes. That's usually like 2 hours after the day has begun. Then you'll come back and do like another lesson or two. And then you have lunch. Lunch is typically 40 to 45 minutes. Then you'll pick the kids up. And then they'll kind of get settled back in. And then in many instances, you'll read a book while they kind of get settled back down. When they have their 45-minute lunch break, they'll either have like recess time and then lunch, or lunch and then recess time, so they're kind of moving around a lot. Kind of get them like a little more calm. So the teacher will have you read them a book. Then you have like a couple more lessons for the day, and then wrap the day up. And then after that, have the kids clean up the room, assign homework, and then dismiss the kids. Then basically after that, you have to really clean up what the students haven't cleaned up themselves, because of course you're the one responsible for the room. So you need to keep the room the way that it was when you got there, and the way the teacher really wants the room kept clean. So the other thing is, if you really want to come back to that classroom, make sure it looks, a lot of times they say, like when you go camping, leave the campsite better than it was when you got there. If you want to come back to the classroom and be invited back again by the teacher, then kind of my philosophy is to leave it better than it was the way I showed up. So I'll take, just take 60 seconds and go through, pick something up here, there, put it where it goes, you think it goes. Just wipe something down, that's it. And then right at the end of the day, note for the teacher, basically that's just basically saying, how the day went, what your thoughts were for the day, behavior issues. Also include, when you're about behavior issues, include positive and negative. Don't just cover bad things that went on. Talk about what happened. In case some things you didn't get covered, make sure you mention that and be honest about that. Don't try to cover it up. If you didn't happen to do something, let the teacher know. As well as, I was going to think about something. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, for the end of the day note. Can't think of anything else I would say. Another thing is, make sure you say like the attendance if everybody was there, if people were missing, because a lot of times they have absent folders, so they need to prepare it, and they'll do that once they come back, and they'll do that for the students who weren't there. So let them know who was absent, and that's about it for that. After that, lock the classroom and then turn the keys to the office, and that's basically it. So that's basically the rundown of a day when you're going to be a substitute teacher at an elementary school. So if you have any questions about any of those things, or just purely interested and want to compare what you do if you're a substitute teacher already at other schools, districts in the area. So other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.